Greetings, everyone, all you loved ones from around the world. We are very happy to see you. This is Joan of Joan and Alan of Out of This World, and we're going to have an amazing guest for you in just a minute. I am also known as the Oracle of Ancient Wisdom, and I am here with my co-host, the one and only Alan Steinfeld from New Realities TV.
Joan, it's always nice to be out of this world with you. Of course, we have some real world adventures coming up. Should we mention them now, or do you want to talk about them later?
Well, everyone can see where I am today, at least in my energetic field. We are in the pyramids of Egypt, and we actually have, guys, a few openings. We had a couple of cancellations. We have a few openings, I think 3, for our Egyptian Ascension retreat. So if you are interested in being out of this world and being in the pyramids with us and connecting with the divine, your ancient self, who you were in other lifetimes, and we encourage you to come and join us. We would love to see you.
So right, go to that website, Egyptian Ascension Retreat. It says sold out, but put your name on the waiting list and say you've heard about it today on Out of This World with Joan and Alan, and then we'll know that you are. Yes. So go there. They'll say sold out. Don't let that get in the way, because we do have very few spaces open, and it's going to be a fantastic tour with JJ and Desiree Hertog, and Mohammed is our Egyptian tour guide who reads hieroglyphics. He's really cutting edge. So it's going to be an epic tour. Yes.
You're cutting edge too, Alan. You're pretty knowledgeable about Egypt. I'm always blown away by that. It's as if you've been there a million times. Oh, yeah, maybe some other lifetimes, I think.
But, I was in Egypt only once. I think it was maybe 15 days. But every moment of that trip has stayed with me. It is such an impactful, energetic place that it's like it does bring back memories of lifetimes. And it's just you're walking through your own Akashic record. Let me just put it that way.
That's what we've been doing here at Portal to Ascension. Also, we've been helping people remember who they are. We're also going to be taking people to Glastonbury, not taking, but you can come and join us in Glastonbury, where we are also going to be doing a 3-day Portal to Ascension conference, helping you remember who you are, why you're here, and actually being infused with the energy of the divine in Glastonbury, the sacred waters, the tour, and memories of the divine feminine that are coming through all of us.
Exactly. I think Neil Gora, the founder of Portal to Ascension, always loves the live events. He's put together an incredible lineup here, and with you, Joan, of great speakers, and such an epic, multi-dimensional place like Glastonbury. And when you are there, it seems, Egypt's a little different, but there's levels and levels of conscious awakening that happen in these sacred places around the world.
That's right. Such a good point. So that's what happens when we actually are in alignment, when we actually open ourselves and go through these portals of alignment. And we actually have a very special guest today that I thought we'd talk about.
Yeah, I was going to mention that because Asil is someone who is going around the planet activating energetic portal vortex sites to rebalance the earth energies, and he's an incredible channel of higher, I would say, divine energies. So let's bring Asil in, because there's so much for him to tell us.
All right. Hello. So maybe Asil needs no introduction, but he definitely is a transformative and spiritual teacher. His channelings are from the divine. He inspires, uplifts, empowers consciousness with these expanding experiences. So and also you have your training now that we're going to talk about today too, your Evolution 1. So where are you, Asil? I forgot to ask you.
I'm right now in Europe, in Austria, my hometown of Vienna. That's where I'm at.
But yes. And just tell us, before we get into the foundations course and everything you're channeling, you just went on a Eastern European tour to activate energetic sites. Tell us how you get the visions for that, and what do you do at these sites, and What do you feel the result of that is?
It's really interesting. Like when about 7 years ago, when the channel opened up for me and I started to have these visitations by these angelic beings, Emmanuel was the first one to talk to me. And then it became, Raphael and Michael, and then it became the Elohim. And they had particular things that they had planned out for humanity to be supported in this evolutionary process, in this great awakening that we're all experiencing. And they basically said one part is going to be working with individuals, another part is going to be working with the sites of energetic significance of the world. Now, energetic significance could mean a lot of things. Sometimes we can talk about, oh, yeah, this is a portal, right? It's a well-known portal like Glastonbury or Sedona or, Stonehenge or Mount Shasta, right? But also a place of collective trauma where energy hasn't moved in decades or maybe centuries is a place of energetic significance because the energy is not moving in that place, right? So it has an effect on the entire world on the fabric and the energetic field of humanity. And in the Balkans, we know that in recent history, there have been wars and there has been conflict and there have been recent tensions. So when the guides basically say, oh, you're going to be following the energetic lines of these countries, then we kind of like make these plans and then we go on these expeditions.
Well, where are the Balkans, though? I mean, that's a collective name.
The Balkans is a big collection of countries. In this particular, we selected 4 countries out of the Balkans, specifically Kosovo, Serbia, Bosnia, and Croatia. 4 countries out of ex-Yugoslavia, basically.
Okay.
Close to the Adriatic Sea.
Yeah. Okay. And what do you do when you get there?
So even before we get there, you have to imagine this is like a year of preparation that we have to do as a team. We have to go basically work with locals and collect all of the sites, make like a giant list of all the sacred sites and trauma sites, and basically dig up in the archives of the war and find like where have the most atrocious things have taken place and where are the mass graves and so on. It's a little gnarly, but someone's got to do it.
And this goes back not just the last 5 years, but you're going back to trauma that's in the last few hundred years that it's been stuck in the field.
Absolutely, we go back to World War II, World War I. We go back to the the siege of the Ottomans and so on. Like there is a lot of things in that fabric of those countries. That's just what happens is once a trauma occurs, it keeps almost like accumulating and building up, and when there's enough tension, it erupts into some sort of war or conflict. And in this eruption is what people feel, and that makes the scars.
So what do you do when you get there? How do you heal this area?
So basically, in the past, I've been going to those places, and a lot of the work was basically being done through me. So I go into a channel state and the guides come in. They basically scan and analyze the whole fabric of the area. They see where energies are stuck. They see where energies are being diverted, are dormant or inactive, or being used by a small group of individuals for their own benefit, and so on. Like there's a long list of what a site could be used for. And then they start doing these energetic adjustments to basically liberate the place and reattune it to both the earth and the higher planes of consciousness, so the energy can move through freely. And the energy is then, this place is connected to other sacred sites on the earthly plane. It could be a sacred mountain I just was in, or it could be a pyramid in Egypt, or it could be a place in Turkey, and so on. So the connection both to higher realms and the earth itself and other sacred sites allows this place to be uplifted again and to have this influx of fresh energy. And you know what it feels like? It feels like someone just turned on the faucet for a fresh spring, river that just starts to move through. Imagine like a mass grave where thousands of people died in vain, in atrocious ways. And suddenly there is this liberating energy that both liberates the souls as well as clears the energetic lines of that place.
So do you bring a group of people with you to do that?
Sometimes we do. Obviously, for example, a couple of years ago, I went to Iraq, which is, still a place in turmoil, right? You can't take a civilian group to Iraq. Even for us to get there, we had to have like very good reasons to be able to get there and get visas and have a really good backstory, right? If you say like, oh, you're going there to do some energy work, they're going to send you back home right away. So, and then you have to have the right guides and so on. Some places like that are more difficult. But to Greece, we take people. To Egypt, we take people. To Turkey, we take people, right? And to the Balkans, specifically for Bosnia and Croatia, we took a group of participants with us. And they did really, really well because they were trained.
I was going to ask, I was going to ask you that. So first of all, I want you to know my children are Croatian.
That's amazing.
And that's one of my favorite countries. But how, okay, so you bring people with you and you train them. What do you mean by train them? Like, how does that work?
So we all have the ability and the capacity to tune into a place or tune into a person, right? You both are very familiar with that concept. And that is, imagine it's like a muscle, right? It's a muscle that's there. It's a little bit dormant. For some people, it's a bit more active. But when it's properly trained, when it's properly shaped, then a person can develop a greater sensitivity, but also a greater grounding and capacity to be able to sit in places of high energy. Now, that energy could be light, but that energy could also be, a bit darker, or could be a little bit more challenging energy, right? No matter what it is, we train people to be able to hold themselves in alignment in a place of high energy. And I believe that this is one of the most critical skills that will be required in these upcoming years for humanity, because the energies are rising. You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
I teach people a lot of that also, how to align yourself, how to raise your vibration frequency, how to connect to the celestial levels and still be grounded to the earth. Exactly. But I love that you can take people and train them around the world to do that. And then they're anchoring light all around the planet, and that light connects with other light and other light beings. And that's how we spread that energy.
Have you ever been to Wounded Knee in South Dakota, where there's a Native American massacre?
I have visited some Native American sites and Native American sites of trauma as well. I've done some adjustment work or clearing work on certain places in Arizona and South Dakota, in New Mexico. But I'd say the US as an entire country, we haven't reached yet in terms of following the energy lines. We're still like past Guatemala, like next is Belize and Mexico is a huge country, right? With a lot of bigger sites. And then would be like North America, is in like the US and Canada.
So you follow a progression? Is that it? You're going from like south to north, or is the U.S. like one of the last that you're going to clear the energy of? Because boy, we need it here.
We do, and Europe as well, right? So what's interesting is like some of the Western countries need the most energy healing, right? It's crazy, like the amount of colonization mindset and like old programming that we still carry is really deeply embedded in the fabric of our society and in the fabric of our landscape. Now, I think the countries like the US and Western European countries, having the energy lines that move towards these countries already prepared as like a backbone to do the work in the US is going to make it incredibly much easier The same thing for like a country like the UK, right? Or France and Italy, right? When the energy lines that lead to France, Italy, and the UK are already prepared to serve the work that we're doing there, then it's going to be much easier. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, the other thing about that is there's lost souls when there's a trauma, when there's war. Like if you go to the site where the World Trade Center was, there's still a lot of energy of beings, or even the Alamo in San Antonio, Texas. You can still feel this conflict in the air. So there's a lot of major work around the world. Even the awful concentration camps in Poland, and that is a place of trauma that still exists in the vibratory field that needs this kind of work, Asil.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's incredibly necessary to do this kind of work, right? And sometimes it gets brushed, under the carpet in some ways. There are a few people that focus and specialize on this type of work. But for example, what I didn't know when we did our research is that Croatia has actually a significant amount of concentration camps. Some of the biggest of World War II are in Croatia. And I was like, wow, hundreds of thousands of people died here. How could this not be like in our general knowledge, right?
Right.
We don't even know about that, huh?
Exactly.
So do you I just wondered, do you help free, this is what some shamanic crossing over, do you free the souls that are trapped there then?
We do. This is the type of work we call liberation work. It's a rather advanced practice, but it is an aspect that's necessary. So what happens is when I go to a place like, let's say, we went to a small town just on the border between Bosnia and Serbia. It's called Visegrad. And in that town, thousands of people died in very atrocious ways, not just like regular killing. It's like really bad, right? So when we were there, I felt that there was a lot of souls still there. And as I'm walking in with the intention to do this healing work, I feel all these spirits watching me, I'm following me, almost like, what is it gonna be? What's the next thing that we're gonna do to help them, right? There's a focused energy on us. And I went into a state, and the guides came in, they spoke, and they started to do some work. And in the work that they did was they opened an energetic portal to higher planes, really almost like the light at the end of the tunnel that you see when you have a near-death experience, right? There is this light, this bright light, this door gateway that's opening up. And they're basically then calling forth all of the souls that are stuck in the astral plane and pointing them to that portal that they have just opened up. And that portal stays open for a period of time, sometimes 3 days, sometimes 3 weeks, depending on what the situation is. But then I can start feeling that these souls are being naturally gravitating towards this portal and being pulled and disappearing through that portal into what I would consider the cycle of life, the proper continuation of life. And
that's beautiful.
It changes the energy in the place almost immediately.
Do you feel that other people in the town can feel it? That the people, not just your group, but that energy spreads out?
It would be my greatest hope that that's the case. Obviously, we don't walk around and ask people, it's like, hey, did you feel what just happened? We just have to go to the next place. We visited 13 mass graves, and it's, out of 44 sites, there was several that were, specific conflict sites. But here's what I've heard. Sometimes we have local guides with us, people that are, living in the area that help us to get around. And they witness some really interesting things personally, on a personal level, because they have been in the war. They were children when the war was happening. Just imagine that, right? Their country being torn and their children, and they feel the energy changing. And then they hear reports from other people in the country telling them stories about how they're processing certain things, how the energies are better, and so on and so forth. So we do see some interesting effects. Now, one thing that I personally find from a place of, like curiosity, the weather phenomena that we experience when we do this work, they're fascinating. So
Mm.
almost everywhere between Serbia and Bosnia, we're there. I open the channel, I start working, and as we're like finishing the work, there is like thunderstorms and lightning coming through.
Wow. Do you have this documented? Are you recording this fantastic? This being an amazing
We have
documentary.
we made some incredible high production value episodes about the work in the Balkans. We have 4 episodes that came out, and it's like, one of the episodes was around the trauma sites, including Srebrenica, a place of genocide. And then there was the mystery sites, like we went to the Bosnian pyramids, for example.
I was going to ask you if you went to the
Yes.
pyramids. Okay. And
Yes, we did meet with Dr. Sam, and we walked around there and went to the tunnels and to the top of the pyramid. I did a summer solstice transmission from the Bosnian pyramids.
I
It
have
was
chills.
epic. It was
Mm.
epic. And
Really? What do you feel there? What do you feel about past civilization at that place?
it's really fascinating. If I wouldn't know better, like, I'd say it is from an energetic signature so different than a regular sacred site that it feels very extraterrestrial, right? There is
Just in
clearly,
Bosnia?
yeah, the Bosnian pyramids feel very, very like out of this world, very much so. And the energetic technology, aside from the fact that the pyramid in itself is a magnificent and almost impossible structure to create as an ancient human race, and they're dating it to like 24,000 years and maybe more, right? That's how old it's supposed to be, like the oldest pyramid on Earth. That's what they're saying.
Mm.
And feeling the technology, like the energetic technology that's there, like I see everything in technology, right? It's like I see grids and I see portals and I see lines and I see like structures that are operating. And as I'm working on the pyramid, like it starts to come alive and it starts to glow, and then energy stream starts to move through it to the other pyramids. And to me, it's like the greatest show on the planet when I'm there directly operating this machine.
Mm.
That's so
Beautiful.
fascinating. Like, did you know you were going to be doing this for your life? That this was your life's work?
I had no idea. I had no idea what I agreed to do, and I had no idea what I was signing up for. And it's like the most incredible adventure ever.
I can imagine.
Wow.
So I
Wow.
want to let you know, guys, know that I've just read that there's more pyramids in the United States than any other country in the world. Now, most of them
Wow.
have not been excavated, but it's true. We're going to find over time more pyramids in the United States than anywhere. So I think by the time you get here, it's going to be really fascinating. This country needs that kind of clearing.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. And
Mm.
to think that these pyramids could not have been made by human hands in any way, shape, or form. They're not structured. That's why we're excited to go to Egypt, to
Yeah.
go to some of these pyramids and experience the connection with the extraterrestrial beings that most likely created these.
Mm-hmm.
But the bigger picture here, Asil, is that you sort of have a mystery school going. You've been
Yeah.
initiated, you're sort of the bridge, and you are now making it's been available, but coming up is this way of the mysteries in a sense that you're
Yes.
making available to people, which is real. Isn't that great, Joan? So tell us about that a little bit, because it's fantastic.
What's interesting is the guides basically, when they started to work with me, they said, we're not going to come through you and just fix people and fix their problems. The work is about empowering people to become gods of their own, creators of their own. So we have to like tap into that fabric, but that takes practice and that takes a bit of owning that power, right? So all the layers that need to be shed, all the programming that we need to reprogram, the reconditioning, the undoing of all the things that we have done to ourselves, right, over generations. And they said there's two pathways that we're going to develop. One is going to be called pillars of light, individuals that walk this path to become pillars of light in service to humanity. The other pathway is sacred earth keepers, individuals that walk this path on the earth and find and connect to these sacred sites and become connected and associated guardians and stewards of these sacred sites. So they make sure that these sacred sites are attuned and operational for what the guides call the Ascension grid. Check this out. They're basically saying the Ascension grid is a grid that will connect all sacred sites to elevate human consciousness into a higher frequency.
But wait, what's the difference between those two different groups
Pathways?
that you've just, yeah.
So Pillars of Light in some ways is a school to work on yourself. It's like inside out, like to work on yourself, and then you come into service, whichever way it looks like. It could be, a healer, it could be a mother, it could be a CEO, right? Any person can be a pillar of light in that sense, and ideally should be. The other piece is sacred earth keepers are specifically working from the outside in. So they go to sacred sites, they connect with the energies there. Sometimes they project their consciousness to those places and do the healing work that needs to be done. And that also does an internal clearing and growth work. So these two pathways are complementary. They're not mutually exclusive.
Oh, right. I was thinking, well, I'm a pillar of light, but I also love the idea
Exactly.
of being a
Exactly.
sacred earth keeper.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm in training for now with this trip to Egypt, to become the sacred earth keeper. But that just sounds really, really profound, and just, I don't know. I just love the way this feels. I like the way you've designed your programs. Now, I know you have an event coming up now that's going to be coming up leading into the Lionsgate. And I think it's a big program that you're offering on July 28th, right?
Yeah, so that Lionsgate event that's going to be happening on the 28th of July is a workshop with a transmission, with a Q&A, and basically going through the questions of the audience and really delivering a meditation that they can take with them to ride the wave of that cosmological alignment. Now, it's not a one-time thing. So some people just do events on a specific day, but for me, it's like you catch the wave on that day, but then you surf the wave for a very long time, as long as possible, right? So that's basically what we're trying to do with these events on those dates.
Well, right. No, go ahead. No, you go ahead, please. Go ahead. Yes.
And the wave that we're trying to catch is the opening of the portal for Lionsgate happens on the 27th, on the 28th of July. And on 8/8 is kind of like the peak of Lionsgate, which everyone, celebrates. And that's when we start our 4-week course called Foundations.
I just wanted to add that it happens on those days because it goes back, Joan, to Egypt. The 27th, 28th was the day out of time, also in the Mayan calendar, where the Egyptian year began. Also, when Sirius would then rise on the horizon and the Nile would flood around that time. So the ancient Egyptians celebrated that. as the beginning, the awakening of life again, with the water of the Niles coming through and Sirius coming over the horizon for the first time after being absent in the sky, which is their home planet, according to some of the ancient Egyptians. So the Lionsgate, as Asil is saying, was the culmination of that new energy. And it's the Lionsgate, because lions were prolific throughout ancient Egypt. They're not there now because it's a desert, but back in the day, before the Sahara moved east, it was a pretty tropical place, which is why the Sphinx is much older, and the water weathering on the Sphinx goes much back, many centuries back, before pre the dynastic period. So the Lionsgate is an ancient honoring of our connections to the stars and the opening of the portals in the heavens for us to activate certain human connections. You know, Carolyn Corey says our brain is connected to the galactic grid, the consciousness grid, the solar grid, and the galactic grid. So this is openings of energetic portals to ascension, essentially. So would you find that, is that true, Asil, what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
There are some doorways in which we can access energies and frequencies that we normally cannot easily access.
Right.
So these alignments make it possible for us to ride a wave of pure energetic delivery. And Sirius is a very, very, very powerful star system. And being able to connect to that energy and ride it, and also harness it to elevate ourselves and everyone around ourselves as like the energetic fabric. I think it's going to become more and more prevalent for us to do these type of things, because the energies are rising more and more. Did you see how many intense solar flares we've had like last month? It's going wild, right? So the guides have been saying one of the ways to be able to receive the sun's energy, but also all of the other stars' energy, is by doing these specific practices for alignment and expanding our capacity to receive the energy of the sun.
Right. I think it's even more special now as Pluto is about to enter Aquarius again for the last time around. And, you know, the Aquarius Leo axis is being activated. They're really, you know, it's like yin and yang. They're really aspects of the same sign that's been split in half. So and this is always in the sign of Leo. So as the Leo energies, which is the solar energies, gets activated, and it sort of peaks and then goes through, and there's another highlight around August 16th and 17th, which was the first real spiritual modern holiday of the harmonic convergence around the 16th and 17th. And then as it kind of continues through the end of Leo, which is around August 22nd, 23rd, as we go into Virgo. But that is the point of highest energy. I think it's also the peak of summer. You know, it's also in the northern hemisphere anyway. So this is high energy, and I think this will be a kind of completion of a cycle. So when a Pluto enters Aquarius and the real Aquarian activation happens, the Leo energies will even come on stronger. This is just my feeling. Does that make sense, Joan? Did I? Wait, you're muted, Joan.
I had to mute because a train went by. I'm in the UK and it was very noisy.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me. I didn't actually realize that the Syrian energy was quite connected with the Leo energy, but I do understand for sure that what you're doing is opening this portal so many people can experience the energies, not just for one day, but for a whole period of time,
right,
which will then continue on. And so that makes a lot of sense to me, that it takes a certain wave to catch that vibration.
Right.
It's a bit like stepping stones, right? If you would look at it a ladder of frequency, right? We want to get people to a certain level, and then from that level to reach the next stepping stone is easier and more sustainable, and it's creates less turbulence, because if you have these very high peak experiences and you drop back to the frequency in which you were operating, it's actually quite destabilizing, and it's almost a little frustrating and maybe also depressing to do
I was
that.
going to say depressing. Yes.
I've done it.
You get
And
high as a kite, and then you
Exactly.
lose that feeling. And
Exactly.
so, and I was thinking, you're starting a week before the Lionsgate, but what you're saying is that you're training people then to take each step and then not falter.
Correct.
As they go through that. And then you're going to pick them up at the tail end of the Lionsgate and start training people with
Yes.
that foundational core.
Exactly.
I knew I got it.
So
I knew I had an understanding.
So how does it work with Asil? People sign up. They have a once a week Zoom with you, or would you give them homework to do? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, all of the above, basically. It's a 4-week course. It can be done. It's all online, and there are transmissions that are delivered once a week by the guides, and these transmissions are really, really power packed. There is a very powerful energy that's being delivered, and the piece that we do as humans, we have practices and exercises we do with them afterwards, after these transmissions. So Tuesdays transmissions, Fridays practices, and in between they can do journaling exercises. In between, they can reflect on what's happening to them and how they're changing and shifting throughout this 4-week process. And I can guarantee you, after having seen, about 1.5, or actually 1,800 people go through this foundations course, I can tell you that the changes that they're going through are significant. Now, some people are a little bit, weary about change, right? It's like, how much are you going to change me? Is this
It's going to hurt.
Exactly. Is it going to hurt? Is people going to recognize me? Am I going to be relatable? Are my loved ones still going to love me? And so on. So, but I'd say the amount of change that we experience in this expands who we are. It doesn't take away from who we are. It just makes us a more multifaceted being of higher capacity and higher potential. That's the way I see the change occurring. Now, will some habits and some ways of relating and certain behaviors and certain choices change as a result of that? Yeah, most likely. But you're still the one making those choices and those decisions. You're just making them from a more conscious place.
I just want to say I have to commend you, Asil, because you've committed your life to the upliftment of spirit on planet Earth.
Thank you,
that's like your whole. He doesn't have off time, Joan. This is his life. This is because I know you. We've been broadcasting your channel for about a couple of years, and it's fantastic that's your focus and dedication. So, yes,
thank you, Alan. Thank you for seeing it.
Yeah. I love it. We have someone from Evolution One just hopped on. And I love that you use evolution, because that just means we're evolving, and we are evolving as humanity is evolving now, and rapidly. And programs like yours and ours help them even gain more traction, I guess, and go higher. So we really do appreciate that, Asil.
And did you see the logo? This is our new logo, by the way. The one that you see on the screen. You see like the light that comes through and like connecting higher realms and like the earth and all directions. And it's almost like the DNA, but also the waves of frequency that's increasing. So that's basically what we are seeing as like the evolution of consciousness on Earth.
I love that logo. Who did that for you? It's fantastic, really.
Yeah, we worked with some very talented agency, and it was a long process, but we came to the conclusion that this was our favorite.
And it looks great on the screen because it shows it. And right underneath it, there's light on from one of our logos underneath it. So it looks really, really potent. I was going to ask you if you have time for a short transmission, just to give people a taste. We can call it a taste of transmission.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was thinking that too, Joan. I think that's a great suggestion because I want people to feel the energies that you're bringing through in case they don't. Okay.
All right.
Tell us what you do, because it's quite dramatic at moments.
Well, Alan, it used to be so much more dramatic. This is the tame version. But basically, just like in a nutshell, I'm not just a information channel. I'm what's considered an energy channel. So in order for the energy to move through, I have to prepare this vessel, and the guides basically embody this vessel, and then they transmit from this vessel. And there's a couple things that look a bit like Qigong. It looks a bit like, I have contractions like Kundalini moving through my body, and there's a lot of energy that moves through. So it may look a little dramatic, but it's really not. And there's only a couple of movements before my vessel's ready for the embodiment to happen. So it takes, a couple of minutes. And
do you do this at the sacred sites that you went to, the places you were healing? Do you actually do the same channeling there?
I do. Oh, but it's interesting. Like, imagine you have to do this somewhere in Jerusalem in a church that's like, thousands of people are moving through. I'm like, where am I going to do this? Like, I have to find a really quiet corner for a minute to be able to do it. We have to dodge security cameras and so on. A couple of times we got in trouble, but most of the time it's been without issues.
It's like funny. Superman. Where do you change your costume to be?
That's right. Where's the telephone booth?
And right. And why does that get us in trouble? Okay, we have just a few more minutes, so let's have you throw off your Superman day clothes and become the transmitter.
Love you guys.
You have to have a sense of humor in our field.
Greetings. We are Elohim. Your transformation has always been the key to the transformation of the collective, of human consciousness. Now you're at a place to understand that your transformation is in your hands. That while the circumstances have driven you to see your reality with greater care, with greater awareness, and with greater attention, you have always been the one to choose how you respond, how you direct your energy, your present moments, and your choices. The time has come for you to become even more selective, even more conscious and conscientious about the choices you make, the choices for your life, the choices how you spend your energy, your time, and your resources. The focus of your present moment, and how each present moment carries the potential for you to evolve and to grow. How will you embrace that newly gained power? Our directive, our support for humanity starts with you, the individual that consciously chooses to evolve, the individual that is willing to receive support, understanding that the support can only flourish with the choices that you make. And the choices that you make for yourself will reward you and your life and all your relations. As your growth, your evolution, your transformation will truly be the transformation of all of humanity. As every individual that chooses this path consciously will become a significant key in the evolution of the collective. Imagine yourself as you become empowered, as you become uplifted, as you become enlightened. How will you carry that light and that energy? How will you transfer this energy to all of those around you? Generously, without obstructions, without agendas. How will you share with love and grace and witness others in their transformation? The great transformation of humanity has begun, and now will continue with your choice of stepping into the power that was always meant to be yours to hold and to carry. Thank you for listening to our words.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I love watching you step into this higher self of yours. It's a very good example for us how our third dimensional body can actually change and be seen and felt across the ethers. So we have to go. So I thought we have to go. I thought you did a great job. It was, but empowering us and giving us that taste of transmission. I like that taste of transmission.
But wait, before we go, just give us a little quick, so your course, just a little rundown of the dates again and the website.
Yes. On evolution.one, everyone can find everything. The first thing is opening the portal to alignment Lionsgate event. It's a 2-hour workshop on the 28th of July. And Foundations as a course starts on 8/8 with the portal of Lionsgate for a 4-week period. And all the details are on the link as well as on our website.
So we put the link here for everyone. And I just want to thank everyone for being on the show. Asil, I think this is the second time I've had you on this show, and each time gets better. And each time I feel a lot closer to you, and I really resonate with what you're doing. And we just really want to thank you for being with us. Alan, it is always a pleasure to go on higher ground with you.
Thank you, Joan. Always great to see Asil. We met for the first time after 2 years or more of broadcasting each other and broadcasting you. But I think your work is now coming into its own. It seems to be more integrated into the collective. Asil will be at Conscious Life Expo, of course, for a huge transmission there. So thanks, Asil, for taking your time and presenting the
Thank you
public.
so much for having me. And I can't wait to give you guys a proper hug in person.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen soon. I'll see you at the expo, if not before. And
Yes.
we're very honored. And Alan, I love you. I'm going to see you in Glastonbury. And we're going to just do our own portals to Ascension as well. So guys, check out Alan, check out me, check out the Ascension Glastonbury and the Ascension Egyptian Retreat as well. This is great. We're collectively ascending together. So have a blessed and beautiful day, everyone. We're appreciative that you all joined us. Yes.
Yeah.
And Asil, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone online. Thank you, Joan. And we'll talk soon. Okay.